We are proud to welcome the KiteFoil elite at the Lake Townsend, where passion, speed and skills meet and the competition is taken to a higher level. KiteFoil World Series Traunsee, presented by Upper Austria.
Welcome to KiteFoil World Series Traunsee in Austria. We're on day 3 of the competition and we are here to bring you all the action from the day. Hi, my name's Andy Rice and with me are 2 experts in the kitefoiling world, aka President Mirko Babini and world ranked number 1 in Formula Kite, it's Lorenzo Boschetti. Welcome guys.
Thank you, Andy. Really appreciate to be here, and let's get ready for today action.
Yeah, thanks to be here. Like normally I'm in the water, but this time for me it's a stop because of the injury, so I'm here with you guys.
So Lorenzo, it's a great honour to have you here, and you mentioned that injury just then. Tell us about the last event that you did, how it went for you, but why you're sitting here in the commentary booth with us.
Actually, the last event was one of the best events of my life. Best condition ever for me and my equipment, but I discovered a quick injury in my leg, snapping hamstring, so it's not gonna be so long. Hope in 10 days to be back in the water, but at the moment I can't ride, so I love to stay here with all the guys or the riders and watch the action in the water, so I'm really happy to be here.
So Lorenzo, that was the Allianz Regatta in the Netherlands. How did it end up for you? Where did you finish?
Allianz Regatta was super nice. I ended up second place behind Benoit Gomez, one of the French guys, and yeah, it was magnificent place, like really windy every day, so we did all the 16 races, so perfect, I think.
Okay, so good breeze there. Now, we've had 2 days of competition so far, and we have struggled for wind. But Mirko, what surprises me is that even here in Traunsee, when we don't get great racing, the atmosphere is still fantastic, isn't it? The riders are still having a good time, even though they haven't actually completed a race yet.
Yes, there is a two side of the sport. When you got wind, there is plenty of action on the water, and luckily, thanks to the place, which is amazing, just on the side of the lake, and the community is so close by, so friendly. They are all together, talking each other, already looking on the next event, maybe also to do some planning together. I mean, the atmosphere is really good as well, also when we don't have enough wind for racing.
Lorenzo, have you raced at Traunsee before, and what is it like if you have?
Actually, I never ride Traunsee the past year because it was super close to the national championship, and the year before I got COVID, so I had the opportunity to ride in this beautiful lake, so I can't reply to your answer, to your question, so...
Well, so you're finding out as much about it as everybody else here right now, and you haven't missed a race yet. It's not too late for you to get on a board and see how you go, but I'm glad that we've got you in the commentary booth. I want to keep you here. So there you can see your friends waiting for racing, and it's boys and girls sitting together. There is a real, someone described it yesterday as a summer camp vibe. Well, what's your thought, Mirko?
Yes, it's amazing. You can imagine all those riders coming from a lot of nations from the world. I mean, we have athletes from New Zealand and US, Caribbean, a lot of country, the European country. You can imagine all those athletes, rider, high pro level athletes, because we have to remember that most of them, they are really looking into the Olympics, so they are a real pro.
So Lorenzo, tell us who we're looking at there. We see the girl in the middle of the picture just sitting down. Who's that, and who's she sitting next to?
She's Lorraine Lowe from France, and we have Conor Bainbridge on her left, and one of the top riders with Theodore McCourt and Yanis Maus. And I can spot also Jemima on the left of the camera.
She's with the black t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we have Noah with the blue long ham t-shirt. And yeah, it's something cool because we are all friends and we can just join and have fun when there is no wind, and yeah.
And what I like about the fact is that everyone is really good friends within the fleet, and yet you're all taking it very seriously, building up to the Olympics. But the English and the French don't always get along together. We have a difficult history, but it's nice to see Lauriane Nolot from France going out with the Englishman Conor Bainbridge.
Yeah, what can I say? Like, yeah, it's life, huh?
It's good, isn't it, to be able to travel on tour with with boy and girlfriend. But I'm sure there's a great community spirit between everyone. It seems like that to me.
Yeah, I must jump on it, and then you can see, and as we said before, they are athletes. They grow with this sport, so they jump into a professional career thanks to kiteboarding, and starting from just having fun around and different background, because we have to remember that Conor is coming from a sailing part of the life, Lauriane from different path, and then it's a perfect mix. And as you said, one Brit and one French. I don't know how we're gonna end up at the end, but let's see.
Well, Lauriane is not camera shy, is she? She loves the camera, and even when the camera moves away, she moves closer to the camera. But Conor holds her back, and there we have Theo de Ramacourt just to the right of Conor. With the curly hair, and Theo is the reigning Formula Kite world champion, obviously one of the best in the world. Tell us why you think the French are so good, Lorenzo.
French I think are good because they always been a good team. They always training together since a while, and when I was like a kid, like 15, 14, I was already watching like video from IKA and Formula Kite and with the big boards, and they were already there racing together, and even if they were super young, like Theo and all the other guys were super young, so I think they train a lot together, and it's a long time that they're doing kite surfing and racing, so experience is doing great for them.
And we're looking at Jemima and Polly Craythorne there from GBR. Now, Jemima on the left wearing her team outfit, the dark blue outfit. She's one of the riders in the British squad, and then her sister Polly. She's also she's a kiteboarding teacher. Yeah. So she actually works for a school where kids can do their schoolwork and also learn how to kiteboard at the same time, which sounds like an incredible thing. And they are always smiling. Have you ever seen a Craythorne sister with a frown on their face? It doesn't happen, does it?
Yeah, it's amazing. And then we can also spot in a really chilly position Tiger Tyson, which the spirit is a real Caribbean style, I must say. Look how it's
we went on a river cruise, a lake cruise last night up to the other end of Trounsey and back, the 12 kilometres of beautiful Trounsey up to Gmunden, the city at the far end, and Tiger was one of the most active dancers on the dance floor, wasn't he? He's got some good moves.
Yeah, I think like Latin moves for him is nice and happy for him, because from Caribbean he usually dance, I think, but yeah, he was really active yesterday night, so I think now he's chilling because yesterday night was a little bit too active for competing the day after.
You think he might have worn himself out for the day's competition?
No, he was okay, so he can do great today.
We're looking at Santos. He's got the coolest name. How many names start with an X? But he's actually got his name on the t-shirt. And Santos Villegas from Mexico. He's really happy to be over in Europe after the pandemic and lockdown. Europe, he told me yesterday, is the strongest centre for kitefoiling. So it's really important for people from other continents to come over here and compete in the Kitefoil World Series events like we have here in Trounsey. And we're going to your neck of the woods, guys, Mirko and Lorenzo. We're going next to Italy, to Giuseria, which is, tell us where that is on the shoe, on the boot of Italy.
I mean, Gisteria is on the south in Calabria, so it's the southest region on the mainland, because then we have Sicily, which is an island. Gisteria, we have been running events since 12 years already, and it was super nice from the beginning. We start from freestyle for the Euro Tour at that time, and then all the Formula and the KiteFoil World Series, and now on the last few years we had always high level Pro or the KiteFoiling World Series or the Formula Kite European. It's an amazing place, straight on the beach, thermic breeze almost every afternoon, and we are inside of this sailing part, which is the Anglus Beach, which is a really huge setup where you have all the music, the restaurant, the bar, and then skate ramp and many things where most of the riders they really enjoy.
Well, I can't wait to be joining you guys in Calabria. I've never been there before, but I do know that I love Italy. But look how beautiful this lake is. Transi, you can see all the way up to the far end to Gmunden, 12 kilometers away. Beautiful visibility, but of course the thing that we're looking for, we don't want to see such glassy conditions. It makes a great postcard, but we are waiting for the wind to come in. The locals are optimistic about that. Let's just find out more about the local region and what Andreas Murray has to say about why Upper Austria is supporting this KiteFoil World Series event.
Well, being on the lake, of course, we have many water sports possibilities and indeed sports of all kinds. But the lake and the possibility of doing water sports where you need wind has always been one of our USPs, one of our strengths. We have extremely good wind conditions, and that's not just for sailors, but for kite foilers, for wing foilers, which need the wind. And we've also, in the last few years, always tried to bring new trendy sports, water sports, to the region. And so it's very important for us to have the kite foilers here, the wing foilers, and I think they feel very well because we have the ideal situation for doing the water sports, but also when you're not doing sports, for your leisure time, that's also important, eating, drinking, and having a good time.
So it's about 27 degrees.
Wir sind auf der Suche nach dem Echten, dem Kostbaren, nach Menschen, die ihr Handwerk pflegen, weil sie es mit Herz und Händen lieben und dabei Neues entstehen lassen. Wir suchen den Ort, wo die Natur den Geschmack für Küche und Keller reifen lässt. Wo die Menschen das Schmecken zum Erlebnis machen und hungrig sind auf echte Begegnungen. Wir begegnen den Menschen und finden das Echte in Oberösterreich.
Well, being on the lake, of course, we have many water sports possibilities.
So they're hungry for the real thing in Upper Austria. We are hungry for some wind, and we have to wait and see if that wind is going to show up fairly soon. We've got about 27 degrees of air temperature. The water is still fairly cold, Mirko. Is this a little bit like Lake Garda? Are we looking for a thermal cycle to build up?
Yeah, it's not only that. There is a thermal cycle. This is the Venturi effect on the mountain, but you need the proper air, at least coming from the right side, and then as far as it start to fill it in, then here for the Venturi effect it start blowing. We can see, luckily, on the last few minutes some kind of gust on the center of the lake, and we start seeing some sailing boat moving, as you can see far away, and then from the right direction as well. So let's see. We still hope. You can see some gust fill it in, so hopefully soon we will have a proper wind.
Lorenzo, the great thing about kiting is that if there's any possibility of going racing, the KiteFoils can do it earlier than any normal boat and any windsurfer, because you don't need a lot of air to get flow over the kite. But we saw the difficulties of that yesterday. Tell us what you saw when we tried to go racing yesterday.
Racing really light condition is, I think, one of the hardest condition you can find, because you really need to do every single move perfectly. You can't do any mistake. So even the best rider in the world sometimes don't tack because they are afraid that the wind is so low that you can't finish your tack. So they jibe, so they do a 270 degrees passing from downwind, because sometimes the risk is to can't finish the race because you get stuck in the water, because once you start you need less wind than when you start. Like for starting you need about 5-6 knots of wind, but while riding 3 knots are enough. So it's really difficult to race and decide if tack or jibes, but it depends also on your level or on your skills. So you have to take the right choice, otherwise you can take a DNF, so you can't finish your race and it's going to be count a lot.
And 3 knots of wind, what kind of speed can you do, Mirko, with a board?
I mean, with 3 knots we are talking really low level. From 3 knots at least the kite can fly, and then 3 to 4 knots you are able to go back and forth. A proper race, you know, we need 6 knots, 5 to 6 knots, and we can do a proper race, and the performance are amazing, because you can imagine 5 knots of true winds. You can go almost close to 20 upwind and close to 30 on downwind. So you go almost 4 times
speed of the wind.
Speed of the wind. There is no other boat that they can do that.
No, I mean that's probably makes it the most efficient wind-powered vehicle of anything we can think of, including even the America's Cup boats.
Yeah, we just about not the America's Cup, but from the Sail GP, the F50, they got I think the record on the race on the Michigan Lake. Just 2 days ago, I saw 52 knots from the American F50 on Sail GP. Is pretty impressive, but with a strong wind. And you can imagine a lot of people on top of it, a lot of technology, electronics, and how many million.
Well, interesting that you talk about Sail GP. It's happening this weekend in the USA, in Chicago, so it sounds like they've got great conditions for going fast, and from what you tell me, Mirko, it was the USA boat that set that new record. Well, funnily enough, one of our competitors here in Transi is part of Sail GP USA team, and that's Daniela Moroz. Let's find a little bit more out about Daniela.
For season 2 of Sail GP, the league wanted to have female athletes on all the teams, and I got selected as part of our application process for the US team, which was super exciting. So I went through this whole process and tryout kind of, and I was selected by the team, which was pretty cool. And then I joined the team for the first event in Bermuda, and I've done the 3 other events since then. I did Taranto, Plymouth, and Aarhus. So it's been a really cool experience so far, and I'm on the boat usually just during practice racing and during our training days. So I spent a lot of time in position 6, which is like behind the helm, and I'm kind of a passenger and just observing and seeing what's going on. And then I've also spent some time doing flight control, which is flying the boat. And you're trimming the foils to keep the boat riding steady along the water. And then I've done a little bit of grinding as well in lighter wind, and it's been pretty cool. It's pretty indescribable. So in Bermuda, on my first week with the team, we went like 49.8 knots, I think, with like one of my first few days on the boat, which was pretty intense. That gave me a really big idea of like how it all works and how fast you can actually go with these boats. And then in Denmark just now at my last event, it was like gusting to 30 and the conditions were pretty hectic, and we went 52.3 knots or something like that. So yeah, it's just really cool to be part of the team and to get all that experience and learn from a group of guys like that. I feel really fortunate to be able to do that, and especially like being on a team led by Jimmy Spedhill, like one of the greatest sailors of all time and super famous America's Cup skipper, and it's really cool just to be in that group and surrounded by so much knowledge and wisdom that I'm kind of absorbing. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm totally used to sailing by myself and doing single-handed sailing. That's always what I've done. I've done a little bit of sailing with other people. I've done some NACRA sailing and 49er sailing with like one other person, spent a couple sessions on big boats. But yeah, this is my first time being on a boat with like a proper team and with like 4 or 5 other people. And it's pretty different. Like there's a lot of communication going on, and you really have to be talking to the rest of the team, and especially between the wing trimmer and the helm and the flight controller, they're talking all the time about what's happening with the boat, what kind of breeze is coming up ahead. Our tactician is one of our grinders, so he's always saying like where the other boats are and where we should tack, and he's on that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's just a lot going on, and it's pretty different from just single-handed stuff. It's still a foiling craft, so like all of the ideas and the mechanics of it are pretty similar to kiting actually. You're just kind of applying it to a different platform, and that part, it definitely took a little bit of time to get used to that, just because I have pretty limited sailing experience, so it definitely took time to like figure out how to apply those ideas and just concepts of foiling just to a different platform. And then the racing itself, it's honestly super similar, because the only, like, our courses are a little bit different. They have like boundaries and like a gate at the top and a gate at the bottom, whereas we have like open race course and usually just 1 or 2 marks at the top, but it's like a single rounding. But it's really high speed, so you have to be able to make really quick decisions, which is the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people coming from just other Olympic sailing classes or any other sailing classes really just aren't used to that speed and having to make such quick decisions, because you know you can kind of like plan for what's going to happen ahead, but here like it's a bit more of a reacting game. You really have to be like just quick-minded and be able to make those quick reactions. So that was like the biggest part that was similar, and of course like the strategy and tactics are really similar too. Yeah, I think the biggest things that are transferable is the strategy and tactics. Although it's a different course where, you know, we're going at pretty similar speeds when it comes down to it. So a lot of it is just like making the right decisions at the right time and learning to think a certain way strategically and tactically. So yeah, there's a lot that is super similar.
We can discuss that in a moment, Mirko. But we are back looking out at Traunsee. Look, there's a whiff of breeze just 30 or 40 meters off the shore. Now we've got an expert to come and tell us whether that means anything really hopeful. That's Jemima Craythorne from Great Britain. So Jemima, looking out on the conditions, what do you think?
Well, there's definitely something coming down, because all morning it's literally just been completely glassy. But as we know, Traunsee can play with us a lot with wind. It will come in and make us think that it's in all day, and as soon as people get to the windward, it will be like, no, that's it. So yeah, it's really hard to know whenever the wind comes if it's going to stay or go. But hopefully it stays. I think the whole fleet are so ready to race now. We've been on hold for 2 days, so yeah, I'm hopeful, but you never know.
We'll come back to you in a moment, but let's just watch the highlights from day 2 from yesterday, because that will give you a sense of the frustration of yesterday, and then I might ask Jemima what she thought from her perspective. Let's see those day 2 highlights.
So it's day 2 of the event. We had no wind on the first day. We've got a light breeze coming in now, so hopefully we get a bunch of racers in.
Today was a day filled with broken hope and souls filled with disappointment. Yesterday there was nothing and we couldn't go out, and today the forecast was really good and everyone was looking forward to today for some good racing and really hopeful. But every time the fleets were sent out, especially yellow, they were cut and gutted because they could not round the top mark and finish the race. And this happened 2 times now that people were swimming in the water, and to the blue fleet as well, it happened that we couldn't go out and start and they called off the race. The wind has been teasing us a lot today, and it was just really frustrating for everyone involved, I can imagine, except for the ladies, who had a wonderful day relaxing at the beach, enjoying the show of the men just struggling on the water.
So that's the conditions that we had yesterday. And Jemima, we saw briefly a start of one of those races, and we saw 2 fly surfer kites flying across the front of the fleet. Port tack start, really successfully executed. That's a super brave move, isn't it?
Yeah, that was awesome, actually. Speaking to Dennis, he said, I think they got pretty lucky. It was super shifty yesterday. That's definitely something to look out for in this venue. And I think it was Yanis and Enzo that went out for that port start. And it paid for them, but sadly they were, I think, first to the windward, so first to the area of no wind, and first to be swimming. There was a lot of swimming that day, and yeah.
And well, let's get Dennis in. Dennis, you come and join us. So this is Dennis Taradin from Cyprus. Let's see if we can squeeze all of us onto the bench.
Yeah, you can see.
So here's Dennis.
The studio is getting crowded.
It is.
Yeah.
So,
hey guys.
So Dennis, you said that they were lucky when they pulled off the port tack start. Surely they were good, not just lucky.
Well, that is the thing. Like when the conditions are so shifted, like as yesterday, you just have to gamble, and sometimes like you gamble correctly, sometimes you gamble incorrectly. And then the first race definitely was 3 minutes before the start. No, 5 minutes before the start, the port start was better. 3 minutes before the start, the starboard was better, and then at the start, the port start was better again. And then also you could, looking at the second race, you can see that everyone started on starboard, and then 30 seconds later, the wind just did a huge shift, 60 degrees, and then you chuck immediately. So it was tricky conditions, but that's why we got also no wind at the top mark, because it was just too shifty, and today looks way better, and the wind is already here, so I think you're gonna get all the qualification done, and I think it's gonna be nice.
And what are we looking at here? This is Benny with the fly surfer hat. He's the fly surfer kite designer. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's the master behind the kites. I think what they're doing is because at this event you can test all the new kites, all the new settings compared to the Formula class events, and then everyone is testing here. I know the Ozone is testing the new bridles. I think Fly Surfer is also testing some new things. So it's interesting because
that's the beauty of our class, that we can get the new equipment every few years to the Olympics. So everyone keeps developing and bringing the new levels of high performance in all the equipment.
Jemima, just explain why these Formula Kite World Series events are important, because you can use any gear you like here, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. So like Dennis said, we don't often get the opportunity to test all of the different kites, and this is the perfect playground for it. And this venue is typically light wind, so I think everyone's really exploring these VMG 23s, 21s. I know Connor's, he's on a 25 F1, which is a mega kite. So yeah, it will be so cool to see how they all compare with each other, and I think it will be interesting for different riders who are used to other kites to actually see what their competitors are using and see the feel of those, and yeah.
And Dennis, the biggest race that we saw yesterday was who could dry out their kite the quickest when they came ashore. So how did your day go? Did you keep your kite in the sky?
Actually, I did both races. I managed to not to swim. And it's, and you know, my previous coach in the freestyle, he used to say that the professional is not the one who does the best trick, but the one who comes ashore before the wind stops.
So you
a good thing. Yeah.
That's very good, isn't it? And there was a bit of a moment when Max Mader came ashore. He had the walk of shame with his wet kite, and someone told me this morning, maybe it was Lorenzo, said you never see Max with his kite in the water, and he clearly didn't know what to do with it, because he had this bundle of kite in the rib. He didn't know how to roll up his kite because he'd maybe never had to do it before. So there's a whole technique to how you come back ashore and preserve your kite as well. Is that right?
It is, and actually you get it with the practice. And in Trif,
a lot of practice.
Yeah, I think you're swimming quite a lot.
There's a hashtag swims with Jim, which I'm proud of, but also not proud of, because it means that I've swum a lot in the past, but it also means I'm very good at a deep water wrap.
A deep water wrap?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's not something you have for lunch.
It's not what you have for lunch. There's another hashtag, rate my wrap. Yeah, basically the more perfect and tight the roll, that's like a 10 out of 10. I would give Maximilian maybe a 2 out of 10, maybe even a 1. It's pretty loose, that wrap.
I think it's pretty tough to wrap the 23 plus your VMG.
Yeah.
It's like a small pocket hole. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
It must be a tip for him. We should get Max maybe during the afternoon, after race, hopefully, and have Jemima and Dennis.
We can teach him how to wrap.
So that's Max we see on the right picture with the black t-shirt. Pretty big guy for a 15-year-old, isn't he? I mean, Dennis, you're a big guy, but he might end up bigger than you.
I think he's heavier than me, definitely. Yeah, I think he's heavier than me. I'm around 90 kilos right now. I believe he's maybe 92, 91. So I think he's taller than me as well. But it's interesting that all the kids, you see the young kids, they weigh like they're big. Like they're Ricardo, Mihail, Max, Kubin, they're all 15, 16, 17 years old, and they're all super tall, super big. That's nice. Yeah, their aim, I heard about it, their aim is getting over 90 quite soon, so you're right, they're getting bigger. Okay. Yeah, I think physically, they don't have any disadvantage compared to the older guys, because we're the same height, the same weight, so. Just the technique and then the feeling of the wind and the equipment, so that's what plays a huge role right now.
So we're looking at the conditions, Jemima. How do you think things have progressed in the last 10 minutes?
This has actually been probably the most hopeful of the event so far. So that breeze has come down and it's actually stayed in. And what's nice is it goes quite far beyond where the windward would be, whereas yesterday we were seeing the breeze line literally at the windward. So this is looking hopeful. It stayed in for a few minutes now, so we'll see if it's here to stay. But yeah, it is looking hopeful.
Yeah, and then the big difference is there are no clouds today, so it's a clear sky, and I think it's a big difference, because the thermal wind just can push through without the clouds stopping the wind. And I think we're gonna go race 100% today.
Oh, well, that's a big call by Dennis Taradin.
A big call, Dennis. But anyway, I support that, and I'm really also hopefully to have some race today because the conditions are really good. Can we call our
just say
athletes? Look,
I just want to say hi to my mom and dad. They're watching. Hey. Okay.
Hi, Mum and Dad.
Yeah, hi.
Mr. and Mrs. Taradin. Thank you very much, Dennis.
I'll give a bit of space.
No, you can stay, Jemima. Max, we were talking about you and how good you are on packing and do the self-rescue to the kite when you are swimming on the water.
Right.
Come a little bit more. Just I'll slide up a bit.
Because you are
Full frame. Yes. All right. So this is about self-rescue in the water and packing up and all.
Yes, because we score you very highly on many skills in kite foiling, but you're not getting very high scores for how you bring your kite back to shore after it's crashed to the water.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, yeah, sure. Well, be it as it is, I mean, I have not been in the water as often past year or so because I have the privilege to train in really strong winds and you don't often fall in the water there. I have been taught by Martin a couple of times, but I guess I just got unfortunate here with the way the kite landed, that it was difficult to like roll up and pack up, and so yeah, a very botched up self-rescue, I must admit.
So there's always room for improvement. But would you ever intentionally practice that kind of thing in training?
I don't think anyone would like to, dip their kite in the water and practice rolling it up. But I believe there is a certain mental process you can arrange and certain things you can discuss beforehand to make it smoother in case you fall in the water, and then treat it every time as a sort of practice, right? Then you've prepared beforehand, and if you fall in the water, then you know, all right, I should be trying to do this and trying to do that and whatnot, and then you'll incrementally improve. It just takes quite a bit of time.
Now, if you do get racing today, which is looking increasingly likely that you will, what did you learn from yesterday that you can apply to today's strategy and tactics?
I mean, well, look at it this way. Every day is very, very different with the wind, and especially here in the mountains, you'll get God knows what in terms of direction, strength, and minute details. So I think it's all about preparing yourself mentally to be very flexible and get out there, give it a shot, try it out, and see if you can find anything that's interesting. So this area right here, if I go there, that gives me this angle, or if I go here I can have a higher speed, or there's ventilation here, or there's wood across here from the river coming out, and find little details like that and apply them and try and stay flexible, look around, and just implement everything that you find and make the best out of it. There's not really something I can bring from yesterday because of the very unique conditions we have here.
Jemima, looking around and also keeping your board going at full tilt and keeping your kite in the air in marginal conditions, that's got to be pretty difficult, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think you just have to keep your eyes peeled, and especially here you have to look out for where there's breeze, or more likely where there's not breeze, and just try and punch through that and really choose where you're manoeuvring, because it's so easy to drop that final tack into the windward. You have to go in with a lot of speed, and if it's just you on the course, then that's doable. But if you've got also everyone else to think about, like to avoid, or if you want to throw in some good tactics there, yeah, there's a lot going on if you want to do a clean race.
Max, Lorenzo earlier was telling us about the 270 jibe that you might consider doing upwind if it's really marginal foiling conditions. So let me throw a scenario. Let's say you're fighting for the lead with Lorenzo, and you've got to get a tack in at the windward mark, final time up the course to win that race, but you think that if you do it, maybe the kite's going to crash to the water. What's your choice? What are you going to do?
Interestingly enough, I haven't ever been put into that situation, and I believe whenever I can't tack anymore, I believe this goes to the same for, say someone like Lorenzo, or my training partner Martin, or any of the top riders. If they can't tack anymore, I don't believe they'll be running the race. But if they are, I would choose
the safe option, because in the end, you know, you're not going to be winning with your kite in the water. It's just, I like to pull a French phrase here, you know, it's ça passe ou ça casse. It's like, it works or it crashes, right? So if you're not in that situation where it's like, it either goes or you're done and it's all over. If you're not in that critical situation, take the safe route.
Okay.
And probabilistically, you'll always come out ahead.
Daniel's not playing the safe route. Daniel, you've got to come and join us. If you take a photo, we get you into the conversation. So Daniel from Malaysia, I want to hear about the power of Asian kite foiling. So you come in and stand in behind. We're going to end up with a whole fleet here in one photo.
Look on this little small screen. You have to stay. Yeah.
Maybe between Jemima and Mirko.
Really,
Yeah.
so really close to the mic.
Keep it. Yeah.
So Daniel, you're in a sport of teenagers. You're a later teenager, aren't you? What are you, 18 or 19?
I'm far beyond that. I'm like 44.
44. You don't look it. You don't look it. That Malaysian skin is treating you well. So 44 years old. That's pretty old, if you don't mind me saying, in kite foiling terms.
Grandmaster next year.
Taking the master class.
Yeah.
So what's it like? What's the atmosphere like when you're in amongst all the kids, like the 15-year-olds that we've got here with Max Mader? Not that you'd know he's 15.
They are really tough, you know, to chase them around. It's like I have no idea what they do to themselves. You know, it's like they go so fast. It's like when I 5 years ago, I could still catch up with them. Now it's just like they have like turbo on their falls. They just fly over the water. These boys, they have their skills, they have their energy.
And Max said earlier this year after the I think maybe it was the Thailand competition, you said watch out, Asia is coming. So Max, what did you mean by that?
I meant that, you know, Asia as a kite scene all in all is growing. So you'll get more youth riders, you'll get more riders generally, and you'll just see Asian countries fill the score list or scoreboard more and more. So maybe at the top, maybe at the bottom, wherever they are, they're going to come and they're going to be there. And I hope to be, they're competitive as well, but they're going to be there.
And so we don't see that very often in Asians doing that well in other forms of sailing. We've seen them do well in windsurfing. Chinese have been very strong in windsurfing, and they've won a few medals in like laser radial with Lily Zhu, but it's still a rarity. So why do you think that the kite foiling is working so well for Asians?
I believe I've said this before, but I think it's the fact that it's new. I mean, it's very new and there's not much. It's almost like a pioneer sport to get established with all the nations. And so what that entails is that you don't have, say, like a cultural or historical advantage with somewhere like Great Britain, right, who has a deep sailing culture, who has maybe more resources allocated, more experience, little tricks that come in handy here and there. And in the end, it towards, say, the later stages of development, you'll just see a very skewed demographic because they're all countries with history, right? Probably. But here it's all new, and so it's a completely open field.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you make. Just put
I'd like to add to what Max said. Most of the Asian kiters they come from kiting background. Unlike the Europeans, they are more from the sailing background. So it takes a bit of work for them to pick up, to start. But then I can see the Asians, the younger Asians are coming up, and they're training pretty hard now.
And how's the Grandmaster going to do today in today's conditions, Daniel?
I hope I can just keep close to them. Don't make any mistake.
Well,
less swimming.
Yeah, less swimming.
Daniel, thank you very much, and we wish you all the best for today.
Thank you.
Jemima, you're becoming our weather expert. Well, we'll say goodbye to Max. Max has to disappear as well, so thank you for joining us, Max. Jemima, how are things shaping up now with the conditions?
Yeah, actually really good. So the breeze that has come in has actually stayed in for quite a while now. and it's not looking too patchy out there. It's looking pretty consistent over the whole course area. So they've just gone to put the boys out, and hopefully we'll get our first race in pretty soon. So yeah, this could be a really good day.
And how much would you learn from watching the men racing before you get out on the water?
I think it's a nice kind of little advantage, because you can see what side of the course is working, you can see kind of how shifty it is out there. And yeah, I love watching the men race. It's high quality racing, and yeah, it can be helpful for us girls.
We had Daniela featured earlier with Sail GP. It seems like Daniela from the USA, Daniela Moros, has been the one to beat.
Yeah.
How much do you see the gap closing, and who do you think is becoming the biggest threat to Daniela?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, she's an incredible rider and has been like dominating for so long. I think, yeah, the gap is definitely closing, but she is for sure like always the most consistent and definitely a very reliable sailor. But yeah, L'Oreal, who we've got on the screen, is so fast. I think everyone would admit that. And I guess it's just kind of the experience that Daniela has on her at the moment. But it's always like in here, the event that has just been, it was super fun watching them battle at the top. Their speed was amazing. Poema's really fast, but she's not here at this event. And then I'd like to think my own team is some good challengers. We've got Ellie, who's again kind of risen to the top quite quickly. So yeah, we've got a lot of people like slowly getting there, but we'll see.
And the French and the British who you've just mentioned, they both have very strong squads. You've got a lot of depth, yeah. and I was speaking to Daniela about this. I was asking her, who are you going to train with, because these squads are going to catch you up, aren't they? And she said, yeah, that's something I am thinking about, and I train with the men in the USA, but she's trying to work out how she's going to form that training squad, because the French in particular, and also the British, and maybe Mirko, the Italians as well, you're working very well together, and the power of the squad really seems to bring up the quality of everybody working within that squad.
Yeah, I think we are super lucky to have such a tight squad, and we're all such a similar level now. So yeah, we just push each other, and we have each other to rely on. I think I can definitely see that with Daniela. It must be quite a challenge, but she is lucky to have the boys for sure. There's like a nice big training group of guys, but yeah, there's nothing quite like a squad, and yeah, it's super special, and we're really lucky.
Yeah, as you said, it's really important when the squad is at such a high level to spend more time together and train, because there is always someone that gets something more and then bring the other close, and then raise the level. Is really important, the squad. And as you said, I don't know, and I still don't understand how Daniela, she still keeping the levels so higher. Yeah. Just, I mean, okay, we understand racing and training with the men, but not a lot. So she must to spend a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. I think in a squad it's so good because everyone has different skills, so you can really like use each other. But yeah, I guess whatever Daniela's doing, it's working. So yeah, we shall see.
Well, I've heard some good news that the AP flag has just been removed.
Okay.
So
thank you, Jemima.
Jemima, what does that mean for you? Can you stay with us, or do you need to go now?
I reckon I'll probably slowly start getting my kit ready. But thank you for having me.
Thanks, Jemima. Have a great day out there. Keep the kite in the sky.
I will try my best. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jemima.
See you later.
See you later.
Yeah, so this is hopeful signs, Mirko. It looks like we might actually be getting into some competition pretty soon.
Yeah, at least we were right, and I think we also said the right word since this morning, looking on the light breeze coming from the middle of the lake, and now all the flag, they are turning from the other side, filled in all the part of the lake from the right to the left. It looks promising.
Lorenzo, you've just been around the park, you've been speaking to your friends, just about to go racing. What's the mood, what's the atmosphere like?
the atmosphere is really nice because everybody's happy because they can see the wind coming, good breeze, and it's not just gusting, so it's perfect condition. Everybody is really happy to go in the water. Now everybody is getting prepared to the start because we already have the race course ready and everybody's ready, so they just put it down AP, so that means we will have some races really soon. So everybody is excited to do that.
Okay, well, let's look at the highlights from day one and see what happened on day one. There wasn't a lot of racing, but as ever, this fleet knows how to have fun.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool spot, hey? Real nice flat water, nice wind, sun's out, nice camping location. Got the vans down here. So yeah, it's all around good vibes. Well, today, Stan's here from SK Shakes and we're doing a bit of technical stuff with the bars and stuff. Just replacing the lines and the leader lines, so it's all kind of ready to rock and roll when there's a bit of breeze. So yeah. That's all we can kind of do, and then we're just kind of we're at the waiting at the moment. But if the wind doesn't decide to turn up, we'll try and do something else. Just try and kind of keep busy, because yeah, a lot of time just hanging about otherwise.
Yeah, the last 2 days we had some good winds, so we managed to have a lot of kiting on the lake. But before that we also struggled with no wind, so we found other activities to do. So yeah, we've just been enjoying the beauties of Austria, but today unfortunately we just have to sit next to the lake because we have to see if the wind will kick in or not. But yeah, right now we're just chatting and enjoying the view and each other's company.
Yeah, it's good to, I guess, see everybody, and you know, it's funny, we all gather together for these events, go away, maybe not see each other for a few weeks or several months, and then all of a sudden we meet back up again, and it's like, you know, we were just there, you know, a day ago or something like that, so it's really good.
So conditions still improving, looking like we are going to get into the first race of this competition very soon. So that's some exciting news. Finally getting into the actual business end of this competition. Lorenzo, we just on that highlights video, we saw some pump foiling going on, and you haven't been doing it here because of your injury, but tell us, what do you like at pump foiling?
A pump foil is really nice when it's not windy, so when you can't go out with your kite foil, so you take your biggest front wing of your foil and you just search dock and you just launch yourself and jump on the board and try to pump, as we saw in the video, with your leg. And yeah, more muscle and more technique you have and more farther you can go. Like I think the record is around 7-8 minutes long, but these guys are incredible. Super nice technique and super nice muscle in the leg, and my personal record is around 3 minutes. So I'm really far from that, but I'm not training, I'm just doing for fun when it's not windy. Yeah, and the last year the improvement of the pump foil class, we can call it, it's improved a lot because the engineering of the front wing now glide way better and they're dragging way less, so you can reach really far distance.
Well, it's great to watch. Meanwhile, Mirko has gone down to the beach, and let's see who Mirko has lined up. Okay, unfortunately we can't get Mirko at the moment. We'll see if we can make that work again. So, yeah, I would love to see a competition of pump foiling where we actually send you out there, see who can get round the mark and actually come back and have a knockout round. Who do you think would win that?
I think here, I think the combination of lightweight and good muscle is the priority for this sport. So there are some good guys like Stan from Switzerland. He really used to do something like that, so he's really nice. But we have also Dvir from Israel. He's really nice, and I think most of the guys here can go so far, but it's gonna be a tight race even there.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible to watch. It looks like it defies the laws of physics when you guys are doing that. So it's great entertainment. Lorenzo, what do you think about the conditions now? Still looking good for a race fairly soon?
Actually, in the moment, I'm thinking to go out, even if I can't, because it's beautiful condition there, around 6-7 knots, flat water, sunny, 27 degrees around, and yeah, I think it's one of the best conditions for racing, and I would like to go out, but I can't. So the guys are preparing. Everybody's close to be ready, so they're just waiting for the horn, and so they go in the water. So,
what gear would you be choosing for these conditions?
I think my biggest kite, because it's super light wind, but I really like super light wind because normally my home place is light every day, so usually I train in light conditions, so I love this condition, but I will take the biggest kite ever I can, because otherwise I don't want to swim.
Right. And we heard Jemima say that Conor Bainbridge, the British rider, is using a 25-meter kite there. Have you ever tried 25 meters?
No, actually I never tried. I just tried the 23, and I'm currently using the 23 all the time when it's under 13 knots, and I'm really loving this kite, but I never tried the 25, and if I could have the opportunity in the future, I would like to try, because bigger, less wind, so it's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's a critical decision to make when you go out. I mean, maybe not here. Everyone's using the biggest kite they've got, so I guess that's an easy choice. But when the wind is a little bit stronger and you're in that crossover zone, that's when it becomes difficult making the right choice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's super difficult. I think it's one of the most difficult thing about our class. Different between other classes, like we have to change kites, we have different sails, so when we have the wind that is in the cross section, we have to change kite, and we have to decide which is going to be the best kite for that condition. And it's happened that sometime you go in the water, you do some race, and you go back to the beach to change the kite because maybe the wind increased a little bit, or you take the wrong choice. So yeah, it's really tough to decide which kite take, because normally on the beach there is some wind, on the outside there is different wind. So luckily sometimes we have coaches that can help us, but it's not always.
Right. Meanwhile, Italy is very engaged in the America's Cup, and we see that Luna Rossa is going to be going around again. And Mirko, they're going to be training in your hometown of Cagliari in the south of Sardinia. Do you see that there is a future for kite foiling riders like Lorenzo to get involved in the America's Cup because of their knowledge of foiling?
I mean, we have been seeing something like that already in other America's Cup team. For sure, the skills that kite foiler they will get, it will for sure help for the next generation of sailors. So the kiters can become quite a good sailor on the future on this kind of sailing stuff. I mean, we heard a sound. What was about? Okay, AP ashore again. Okay, so there is
so there's a postponement for the moment.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate. So
yes, I was just explaining that for sure soon they will start training the America's Cup team. We know that by the rule only new team they can train on the big boat on the next month. So only the Alinghi team, Alinghi Red Bull team, and then all the other they start from October. So let's see the action, and for sure the next generation of sailor, maybe we might see some good kiters go and get it from the America's Cup team.
Yeah, foiling is foiling, and understanding how these foilers work, I'm sure, applies to the much bigger foilers like the AC75s and the F50s and Sail GP. We're on a postponement. We are still optimistic that racing will get underway fairly soon, but in the meanwhile, let's just show you a little bit about the local region.
Wir sind auf der Suche nach dem Echten, dem Kostbaren, nach Menschen, die ihr Handwerk pflegen, weil sie es mit Herz und Händen lieben und dabei Neues entstehen lassen. Wir suchen den Ort, wo die Natur den Geschmack für Küche und Keller reifen lässt. Wo die Menschen das Schmecken zum Erlebnis machen und hungrig sind auf echte Begegnungen. Wir begegnen den Menschen und finden das Echte in Oberösterreich.
Right, so those are the conditions at the moment. You can see that there is some breeze there. There is a fly surfer kite in the sky, but we are going to take a break, and then we're going to come back to you a little bit later on. So for the time being, from Lorenzo, Mirko and me, Andy Rice, we are going to say a very, very brief goodbye, because I don't want you to go away too far from wherever you're watching this, because we will be coming back with the live stream very imminently. So just keep an eye on social media, keep an eye on the website. We are looking to bring you racing once we get underway, and that could be happening fairly soon. We just don't know for sure. So for the time being, that's it from us. See you a little bit later on in the day.